Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to give you guys another movie review. This is straight from Sundance. I saw the TV Glow. This has been picked up by A24. This was directed by Jan Schwimburn. And this is an amazing cast. But I'm going to go and give you guys a brief synopsis on it. A classmate introduces teenage Owen to a mysterious late night TV show, a vision of the supernatural world beneath their own, and a pale glow of the television, Owen's view of reality begins to crack. This is starring Justice Smith as the main lead, Owen, Bridget Lundy Payne as the role of Mandy. If you've seen her in Atypical, she's amazing. This got Danielle Deadweiler as Justice's mother. They've got Fred Durst in this. They've got Ian Foreman playing a role of a young Owen, and they've got Phoebe Bridgers as well. This is an amazing cast. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you that straight up. The thing about this film that is going to set it apart from a lot of different ones is that it is very weird. And I mean very weird. It doesn't reach a R rating, but this very much so has themes of thriller, horror, and sci-fi mixed into one. There's a lot of callbacks to amazing television cinema that I personally love, like the X-Files or like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Supernatural. But then if you looked at those YA shows like Dawson's Creek, 90210, or if you looked at the old Nickelodeon series like Are You Afraid of the Dark, like there's so many different, that's like a random show like Pete and Pete. Like you've seen Pete and Pete and you grew up in the 90s, there are different callbacks to Pete and Pete in this. And there's a devotion to love of the 90s that I was just so impressed by just in the startup. And the thing about it, that's not even the crux of the film. The film has so many different vivid layers. Normally, I talk about the acting and the soundtrack and the cinematography, which all those are great. But the theme of this is so specific because it comes down to two people's ability and inability to relate to one another and the world around them, but yet find this intimate and very visceral connection when it comes to a show. And the thing about it is, all of us know, like, you have that one show that you grew up on that, you know, your best friend, you would watch it with them and whatnot. But because both Owen and Maddie are so disconnected in different ways, they don't fit into the same puzzle, but yet they do. And the thing about it I loved about this film is that if you take Justice's character Owen, if you break him down bit by bit, he is very non-neurotypical. He is socially awkward. Like he doesn't know who he really is. He doesn't know what he really likes. There's a line delivery in it is that there's something in him that's just been like literally removed. And when he talked about removal, it's like he's pointing at his heart. So he doesn't even know what he latched onto. He just know that he gravitates to this show and anything that's connected to it. And there's Maddie. Maddie's what I would call, like, if you go back to the 90s, a girl that is very inquisitive and yet like spontaneous, but yet she's closed in. She's an introvert. And it would look like from the perception on the outside that she is um what's the word without saying too much? I don't want to spoil it. She's just disconnected, and for good reason. They're like, when you actually see certain things that's going on with their personal life, you understand the disconnection. But then there's something about both of them individually, and I give it to the genius of the writer and director Jane, that there's something about both of them individually that you can tell they don't fit. Like something is amiss. Like there's a part of both of them that they're missing. And they're slowly uncovering it through this show. and through each other. And the other side of this that I'm talking about goes into the fantastical. And the fantastical elements are weird, they are creepy, and they are so freaking 90s. Like, I kid you not, there are certain scenes in this that are just very creepy. They use lighting and themes and camera direction to really sway and contort your perception about what's actually real and what's actually happening to these individuals, even though you know psychologically, emotionally, they are going through some things. One of the things that I'll give so much credit for with Justice is that he becomes such a real character. Like, he's played different roles where he's the nerdy or the weird, the outcast guy. But with this, he is embodied whatever Owen is. And what Owen is trying to rectify is his own existence. And the way that they do such a good job with this is that there are certain mannerisms and tics that he has, and the way that he interacts, doesn't interact, where he looks down versus looking up. And, you know, you can write off Bridget's character, Maddie, as an emo girl, but that's not who she is at her heart. And he sees it, and at the same time, they can't really even truly interact with each other. And it's so fascinating how they bridge those gaps with actual social norms with abnormalities and how they interact. And I think that that's where we get into that middle ground of reality. Like, anybody that grew up, like, you know, you have that friend that's kind of like this, or both friends that are kind of like this. And what does that actually mean? What is the difference with the two? And I think that discovery is so artistic, but yet so visceral and so real and so alive. Their acting in this is amazing. They do so much with very little time. And also, they commit, because ultimately they're surrounding all this based on a fictional show called The Pink Old Pink. And in the show, like, you have two individuals that are kind of fighting their own destiny, so to speak. And it's without spoiling too much, it's very fascinating how they thread that needle of what you remember back in the 90s of, like, those different random shows. Like, they're even down to, like, the fonts. Like, one of the fonts looked just like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's an old show I used to look at, So Weird, or Erie, Indiana, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? But then I'm that weird kid that used to look at a show like Space Cases. I remember looking at Space Cases, and there's the middle of a season where one of the main characters dies, and, like, I'm brought through this. And so I'm saying all this to say that I connect with this because I've lived through this. Like, I've not necessarily lived through what they've gone through in this, but there's a connection there that I understand, connecting with the show that other people would not understand or comprehend or even go there. I used to look at One Tree Hill. I used to look at The Vampire Diaries. I used to look at 90210 and different shows like that. And so it's just very interesting to be, it's like under your own skin as an actual person that's watching it. And the callbacks are intentional, and it's like this homeliness that you can kind of feel at home with what they're dealing with, but at the same time disconnected. Now, I gotta give credit where credit's due. There are some great shots in this. Like, some of the shots in this are just horror flair. That's the best way I can kind of put it. Like, there are certain shots that feel so eerie, so terrifying. There's one shot, and I kid you not, it's literally just a little boy in a money machine, and it's to the side, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. There are so many moments where I'm on pins and needles, not knowing what's about to happen. The other thing about this is the freaking soundtrack. The soundtrack is amazing. There are certain songs in this. Phoebe, like I said, Phoebe Bridgers is in this. There are certain musical moments that are just beautiful. And then there are certain moments that are just so disturbing, but it's executed so well. Like the music is on point. Whether you know the artist or not, it's just done so well. And it fits with this so well. It feels such like an intimate story, but yet at the same time, a horror thriller that I don't know where things are going to go. I do say this, just for discretion. Some of you guys are going to watch this movie and not know what the heck happened. And you're going to feel slighted because you're going to like, why did it end like this? From an artistic critic and cinephile like I am, there's so much appreciation there. Like it makes me want to create like a film or a show again myself. But if you're kind of going into this to get something with understanding and true clarity, that's not necessarily how this is going to end. This may rub you a certain kind of way. I just want you guys to know that if you really pay a close attention to certain nuances, certain things that happen, certain fantastical things that happen, it's left up to their interpretation. Think of it like, I don't want to spoil it if I say it. Just know that it's worth the ride. It's worth what you're seeing, and you're going to get something really special, I think. I rate this at an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. This is really good. And for the budget, I do wish I got a little bit more towards the end, but the ride that they gave me and the delivery and execution of how committed they were to all this, I got to give them credit where credit's due. And I hope you guys go and give it a chance. Go and check out this film. I don't think you will be disappointed, if nothing but for the performances alone. And again, I want to give all the credit to Jane and Bridget as well as Justice. They are their unapologetic selves, and they truly give a very fascinating narrative in this that speaks to a lot of different dimensions and different volumes and different peoples of understanding of who and what they are, but at the same time connecting it back to what we know growing up to be and trying to make a way, trying to get in, trying to make a way, and try to understand and connect. But go and check it out. I'll talk to you guys later. I saw the TV glow. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Take care, guys. Peace. Filing out the top of I can see the skyline. 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.